cousins, nephews and nieces. I buy everybody something at Steinmart.
If I buy a gift at Steinmart, I know they're going to love it.
Steinmart. Once you go, you get it.
14 hours from 8 to 10. Saturday.
Ooh, you get a lot of shopping done in that time.
Jennifer Aniston, suddenly single, the latest on her split, next ET.
An excitable group out here, right?
Yeah, people from Arizona, North Carolina, Delaware, a great group enjoying New York City.
He just wants to say hi to who?
What?
Who do you want to say hi to?
Oh, my fellas at the Oak Level Grill.
There you go. All right. So your coffee group. There you go.
From Nashville, North Carolina, that gentleman. Welcome back to The Early Show. I'm Julie Chen, along with Renee Seiler. We're going to check in with Harry Smith and Hannah Storm in just a minute.
Well, coming up, if you're putting up a Christmas tree, we want to help you make it look the absolute best that it can, and so we'll have some ideas on that.
And we're going to find out who your favorite is from the first week of Living Room Live, the children's version. But first, the major news this morning is out of Washington, and that's where Harry is standing by. Good morning, Harry.
All right, Julie, good morning, everybody. The co-chairmen of the Iraq Study Group are due to testify here on Capitol Hill this morning. They released their 96-page report full of recommendations yesterday. It was a blunt and critical assessment of White House policy. Now, one of the 79 recommendations that most U.S. combat troops be withdrawn by 2008 is certainly causing lots of controversy. The president is under no obligation to follow any of the panel's recommendations. And at 7:04 this morning, I asked Commission co-chair Lee Hamilton what happens if the president ignores the study group's work.
Powerful incentives here for an American politician to begin to act. The American people are soured on this war. They don't want any more American casualties. The pressure is building on these politicians to find an answer, to bring to completion our adventure in Iraq. And that pressure is powerful, and I think you're beginning to see politicians in the Congress and in the White House react to it.
For his part, President Bush said yesterday he will, in fact, consider the recommendations made by the Iraq Study Group. And for more on that, we want to go to senior White House correspondent Bill Plant, who is standing by at the White House now. Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Harry. 4 years into the war, and the commission called the president's policy a failure, point blank. They called on him to step back from his commitment to keep U.S. troops in Iraq as long as they're needed.
The situation in Iraq is grave and deteriorating.
The commission warned that time is running out on U.S. ability to influence the outcome in Iraq.
There is no magic formula that will solve the problems of Iraq.
But the commission did make 79 specific recommendations under two main headings, military and diplomatic. It calls for a major diplomatic initiative in the Mideast, a new attempt to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian problem, and also U.S. talks with Iran and Syria, which the president has all but ruled out. On the military side, the report says there's no action the U.S. military can take by itself to succeed in Iraq. It recommends shifting the role of U.S. troops from combat to support of the Iraqi military, then embedding thousands of U.S. trainers with Iraqi troops and moving U.S. combat troops home. The president, meeting with key members of Congress from both parties, promised continued bipartisan cooperation.
And it's important to me that we continue to hear from the Congress as we fashion a new way forward in Iraq.
But there were...
This is a CBS News special report. I'm Katie Couric reporting from Washington. President Bush has been meeting at the White House this morning with his top ally in the war in Iraq, British Prime Minister Tony Blair. And now they are about to meet with reporters to answer questions about the war. No doubt the president and the prime minister spent some time going over the report issued by the Baker-Hamilton Commission, which yesterday said the situation in Iraq is grave and deteriorating. One of the report's recommendations, step up the training of Iraqi troops so they can defend themselves and U.S. combat forces can leave. There are about 140,000 U.S. troops in Iraq. Britain, meanwhile, has troops, more than 7,000, most of them in the south. Over 120 British troops have been killed, but thousands of the British troops still stationed there will be leaving by 2008 as control of 2 southern provinces is turned over to the Iraqis. Jim Axelrod is at the press conference. I know, Jim, they're about to start, but I understand Prime Minister Blair has said he would like to see some of these recommendations implemented beginning in January.
That's right, Katie. In fact, there's a lot of anticipation as far as Prime Minister Blair's presence here. It should provide some support as to some indication as to what we're expected to hear. There are reports this morning making a trip to the region, and in fact, we're being told we need to sit down right now. Prime Minister Blair on his way to the region, we're told, if the British press reports are to be believed. Let me just sit down, Katie, while we continue talking about. And, you know, last month, Prime Minister Blair, in a high-profile speech in Great Britain, offered partnership to Iran and Syria. His words, partnership. So there's some expectation that we'll be talking about the diplomatic initiatives offered in the ISG as well. Here we go, Katie.
Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Thank you all. Please be seated. I just had a good visit with Prime Minister Tony Blair. I appreciate you coming back, Mr. Prime Minister. I always enjoy our discussions, and I appreciate your clear view that we are confronted with a struggle between moderation and extremism. And this is particularly evident in the broader Middle East. I talked about my recent trip to Jordan, where I talked to Prime Minister Maliki. I briefed the Prime Minister on my visit with His Eminence, Mr. Hakim, one of the major political players in Iraq. We discussed the report I received yesterday from the Iraq Study Group, a report chaired by Secretary of State, former Secretary of State James Baker and former Congressman Lee Hamilton. I told the Prime Minister I thought this was a very constructive report. I appreciated the fact that they laid out a series of recommendations, and they're worthy of serious study. I also updated the Prime Minister on the reviews that are being conducted by the Pentagon and the State Department and our National Security Council. I talked to him about the consultations I'm having with the United States Congress. We agree that victory in Iraq is important. It's important for the Iraqi people. It's important for the security of the United States and Great Britain. It's important for the civilized world. We agree that an Iraq that can govern itself, defend itself, and sustain itself as an ally on the war on terror is a noble goal. Prime Minister and I seek a wide range of opinions about how to go forward in Iraq, and I appreciate your opinions and your advice. The increase in sectarian attacks we're seeing in and around Baghdad are unsettling. It's led to much debate in both our countries about the nature of the war that has taken place in Iraq, and it is true that Sunni and Shia extremists are targeting each other's innocent civilians and engaging in brutal reprisals. It's also true that forces beyond Iraq's borders contribute to this violence. And the Prime Minister put it this way. He said, the violence is not an accident or a result of faulty planning. It is a deliberate strategy. It is the direct result of outside extremists teaming up with internal extremists. Al-Qaeda with the Sunni insurgents, and Iran with the Shia militia to foment hatred and to throttle at birth the possibility of a non-sectarian democracy. You are right, and I appreciate your comments. The primary victims of the sectarian violence are the moderate majority of Iraqis, Sunni and Shia alike, who want a future of peace. The primary beneficiaries are Sunni and Shia extremists, inside and outside of Iraq, who want chaos in that country so they can take control and further their ambitions to dominate the region. These Sunni and Shia extremists have important differences. Yet they agree on one thing: the rise of free and democratic societies in the Middle East where people can practice their faith, choose their leaders, and live together in peace would be a decisive blow to their cause. And so they're supporting extremists across the region who are working to undermine young democracies. Just think about the Middle East. In Iraq, they support terrorists and death squads who are fomenting sectarian violence in an effort to bring down the elected government of Prime Minister Maliki. In Lebanon, they're supporting Hezbollah, which recently declared its intention to force the collapse of Prime Minister Senour's democratically elected parliament and government. In Afghanistan, they're supporting remnants of the Taliban that are seeking to destabilize President Karzai's government and regain power. In the Palestinian territories, they are working to stop moderate leaders like President Abbas from making progress toward the vision of two democratic states, Israel and Palestine, living side by side in peace and security. In each of these places, radicals and extremists are using terror to stop the spread of freedom. And they do so because they want to spread their ideologies of hate, and impose their rule on this vital part of the world. And should they succeed, history will look back on our time with unforgiving clarity and demand to know what happened. How come free nations did not act to preserve the peace? Prime Minister Blair and I understand that we have a responsibility to lead and to support moderates and reformers who work for change across the broader Middle East. We also recognize that meeting this responsibility requires action. We'll take concerted efforts to advance the cause of the peace in the Middle East. Prime Minister Blair informed me that he will be heading to the Middle East soon to talk to both the Israelis and the Palestinians. And I support that mission. I support the mission because it's important for us to advance the cause of two states living side by side in peace and helping both parties eliminate the obstacles that prevent an agreement from being reached. And your strong leadership on this issue matters a lot. We will support the Democratic government of Prime Minister Maliki as he makes difficult decisions and confronts the forces of terror and extremism that are working hard to tear his country apart. Britain and America are old allies, and the Prime Minister and I are strong friends. But Britain and America aren't standing together in this war because of friendship. We're standing together because our two nations face an unprecedented threat to civilization. We're standing together to prevent terrorists and extremists from dominating the Middle East. We stand together to prevent extremists from regaining the safe haven they lost in Afghanistan, a safe haven from which they launched attacks that killed thousands of our citizens. We stand together because we understand the only way to secure a lasting peace for our children and grandchildren is to defeat the extremist ideologies and help the ideology of hope, democracy, prevail. We know the only way to secure peace for ourselves is to help millions of moms and dads across the Middle East build what our citizens already have. Societies based on liberty that will allow their children to grow up in peace and opportunity. It's a tough time, and it's a difficult moment for America and Great Britain, and the task before us is daunting. Yet our nations have stood together before in difficult moments. 65 years ago this day, America was jolted out of our isolationism and plunged into a global war that Britain had been fighting for 2 years. In that war, our nation stood firm. And there were difficult moments during that war. Yet the leaders of our two nations never lost faith in the capacity to prevail. We will stand firm again in this first war of the 21st century. We will defeat the extremists and the radicals. We'll help a young democracy prevail in Iraq. And in so doing, we will secure freedom and peace for millions, including our own citizens. Mr. Prime Minister, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, firstly, for stressing again the strength of the relationship between our two countries, which is important for us, but I think it's important for the wider global community as well. Thank you also for the clarity of your vision about the mission that we're engaged in at the moment, which is a struggle between freedom and democracy on the one hand, and terrorism and sectarianism on the other. And it's a noble mission, and it's the right mission, and it's important for our world that it succeeds. And so the question is, how do we make sure that it does indeed succeed? And in respect of Iraq, I, like you, welcome the Baker Hamilton Study Group. It offers a strong way forward. I think it is important now we concentrate on the elements that are necessary to make sure that we succeed, because the consequences of failure are severe. And I believe this is a mission we have to succeed in, and we can succeed in. And I think there are three elements that we can take forward. The first is to make sure that we are supporting the Maliki government in making sure that that government's non-sectarian nature is reflected in the policies of that government and the way that it conducts itself. I think in respect of governance and security and capability, particularly economic capability, there is much that we are doing but can do even more in order to make sure that they are supported in the vital work that they do, and in the work of reconciliation, in bringing the different parts of Iraq together in order to give effect to the will of the Iraqi people expressed in their democratic election. I think secondly, it's important that all of us who are engaged in this, but particularly those in the region, live up to their responsibilities in supporting the Maliki government in ensuring that Iraq is able to proceed in a democratic and non-sectarian way. And I think that finally, as you rightly emphasize, it is important that we do everything we can in the wider Middle East to bring about peace between Israel and the Palestinians. This is something that I know you feel deeply and passionately about. You are the first president who committed yourself to the two-state solution. And I believe that by moving this forward, we send a very strong signal, not just to the region, but to the whole of the world, that we are even-handed and just in the application of our values, that we want to see an Israel confident of its security and a Palestinian people able to live in peace and justice and democracy. And that brings me back finally to the point that I began with, because I think it is the central point. Yes, it is immensely tough at the moment and very challenging, and everybody knows that. But there are only two ways that the Middle East can go. Its people can either be presented with a choice between a secular or a religious dictatorship, which is not a choice that any free people would ever choose, or alternatively, they can enjoy the same possibilities of democracy that we hold dear in our countries. And this is not a view that I hold because of idealism alone. It is because I also believe that the only realistic path to security is by ensuring the spread of liberty. So, Mr. President, thank you again for welcoming me here, and we will work closely with you in the time to come in order to achieve the mission we have set ourselves.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll answer a couple of questions.
Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, neither of you has shown much doubt about your Iraq policies. Do you acknowledge that your approach has failed, as Baker Hamilton suggests? And are you willing to engage directly with Syria and Iran and pull out most combat forces by early 2008 unless there's unexpected circumstances?
The thing I liked about the Baker Hamilton report is it discussed the way forward in Iraq. And I believe we need a new approach. And that's why I've tasked the Pentagon to analyze the way forward. That's why Prime Minister Blair is here to talk about the way forward so we can achieve the objective, which is an Iraq which can govern itself, sustain itself, and defend itself, and be an ally in the war on terror. And the Baker-Hamilton report did some very interesting things. First, it shows that Republicans and Democrats can work together to achieve to come up with a strategy to achieve an objective. Something the American people don't think is possible to happen. In other words, they've seen elections and they saw all the bitterness and, you know, finger pointing and name calling, and wonder whether or not we can work together on this important cause. And I believe we can. And the Baker-Hamilton Commission showed it's possible for people of goodwill to sit down at the table and design a way forward. Of course, and so that's why I'm sitting down with members of Congress to say to both Republicans and Democrats, this is an important cause. It's important for our security. It's important to help lay the foundations for peace. And I want to hear your ideas. And I thought the report did a good job of showing what is possible. The Congress isn't going to accept every recommendation in the report, and neither will the administration, but there's a lot of, you know, very important things in the report that we ought to seriously consider. And as the Prime Minister talked about, there's three aspects to the report. One is how do we empower the Maliki government so that the Maliki government, the elected government of the Iraqis, can help with the economy, can help secure peace, can do hard work necessary to achieve stability and to achieve the objective. It talked about the regional, the countries in the region and the responsibilities of the region to help this Iraqi government. And the idea of having an international group is an interesting idea. You know, we've already got the compact, and I think the Baker-Hamilton report suggests that we broaden the compact beyond just economic measures. But one thing is for certain, when people, if people come to the table to discuss Iraq, they need to come understanding their responsibilities to not fund terrorists, to help this young democracy survive, to help with the economics of the country. And if people are not committed, if Syria and Iran is not committed to that concept, then they shouldn't bother to show up. Thirdly, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict is important to have, you know, is important to be solved. I'm committed to a two-state solution. I believe it is in Israel's interest and the Palestinian people's interest to have two states living side by side for peace. And the Prime Minister shares that goal, and he is willing to take time to go over and help remove obstacles toward achieving that goal. And there are two notable obstacles. One is a prisoner, and secondly is for there to be a unity government that recognizes the principles of the quartet with which Israel can negotiate. And we want to help. And so I view this as a very, you know, an important way forward with important concepts. And the American people expect us to come up with a new strategy to achieve the objective, which I've been talking about and which is laid out in the Baker-Hamilton report.
Look, I think the analysis of the situation is not really in dispute. The question is, how do we find the right way forward? And what we've got at the moment is something that is, at one level, very simple to describe, but at another level, very profound and difficult to deal with. And that is that the outside extremists are linking up with internal extremists, basically to create the circumstances of sectarianism, where it's very, very difficult then for democracy and ordinary institutions to function. And I think the Baker-Hamilton report allows us to, as the situation has evolved in Iraq, to evolve our strategy in order to meet it in the ways that I've just described. But I think we've got to be very, very clear about this. It will require everybody to face up to their responsibilities. Us, of course, because we are principal actors in this, but also the Iraqi government. They've got to be prepared to make the moves necessary for governance, for capability, reconciliation, and for help and security, and we will be there to support them. But then there's responsibilities, as the President was saying a moment or two ago, on the region and the neighbors. And let me come directly to the Iran and Syria point. The issue for me is not a question of being unwilling to sit down with people or not, but the basis upon which we discuss Iraq has got to be clear. And it's got to be a basis where we are all standing up for the right principles which are now endorsed in United Nations resolutions in respect of Iraq. In other words, you support the democratic elected government, you do not support sectarians, and you do not support, arm or finance terrorists. Now, the very reason we have problems in parts of Iraq, and we know this very well down in the south of Iraq, is that Iran, for example, has been doing that. It's been basically arming, financing, supporting terrorism. So we've got to be clear the basis upon which we take this forward. And as I say, it's got to be on the basis of people accepting their responsibilities. And finally, in relation to what the President was just saying a moment or two ago on Israel and Palestine, I mean, I think that one thing that is very clear is that the old Middle East had within it the origins of all the problems we see. I mean, it's because this terrorist problem that we faced in the last few years, it didn't originate, I'm afraid, a few years ago. It's been building up over decades. It's come out of a series of states of oppression, of warped ideology, based on a perverted view of the faith of Islam. This has been building up for a long period of time, and it has basically come out of the Middle East. Now, my view in the end is that you go back to the origins of this and say, well, how do we resolve it? And the only way we resolve it is by having the right vision and then the practical measures to achieve it. Now, I think the vision is absolutely correct. What we've got to do now, and this is exactly why the President's talking about the way forward, is that we've got to get the right way forward. This is where Baker Hamilton helps, in order that we have the practical policy that bolsters and gives effect to the vision. Because the vision is the right vision. You know, you leave a Middle East in which the Israel-Palestine issue is not solved, in which there's no moves towards democracy, in which Iraq goes back in its old state, in which the Iranian people have no chance to express themselves. Maybe not in the months or 1 year, 2 years, but you'll have the same problem. You know, the reason we are faced with this issue is because, in the end, everything that happened in that region erupted, in fact, on the streets of New York. But the origins of this went way, way back before that. And so, you know, there's a tendency, I think, sometimes to see this as a battle between the idealists on the one hand and the realists on the other. In my view, the only modern form of realism is one that has ideals at the center of it.
Nick Robinson, BBC News. Mr. President, the Iraq Study Group described the situation in Iraq as grave and deteriorating. You said that the increase in attacks is unsettling. That will convince many people that you're still in denial about how bad things are in Iraq and question your sincerity about changing course.
It's bad in Iraq. Does that help?
Why did it take others to say it before you've been willing to acknowledge it to the world?
You know, in all due respect, I've been saying it a lot. I understand how tough it is, and I've been telling the American people how tough it is, and they know how tough it is. And the fundamental question is, do we have a plan to achieve our objective? Are we willing to change as the enemy has changed? And what Baker Hamilton study has done is it shows good ideas as to how to go forward. What our Pentagon is doing is figuring out ways to go forward, all aiming to achieve our objective. Make no mistake about it. I understand how tough it is, sir. I talk to the families who die. I understand there's sectarian violence. I also understand that we're hunting down Al-Qaeda on a regular basis, and we're bringing them to justice. I understand how hard our troops are working. I know how brave the men and women who wear the uniform are, and therefore they'll have the full support of this government. I understand what long deployments mean to wives and husbands and mothers and fathers, particularly as we come into a holiday season. I understand. And I have made it abundantly clear how tough it is. I also believe we're going to succeed. I believe we'll prevail. Not only do I know how important it is to prevail, I believe we will prevail. I understand how hard it is to prevail. But I also want the American people to understand that if we were to fail, and one way to assure failure is just to quit, is not to adjust and say it's just not worth it. If we were to fail, that failed policy will come to hurt generations of Americans in the future. And as I said in my opening statement, I believe we're in an ideological struggle between forces that are reasonable and want to live in peace and radicals and extremists. And when you throw into the mix of radical Shia and radical Sunni trying to gain power and topple moderate governments with energy which they could use to blackmail Great Britain or America or anybody else who doesn't kowtow to them, and a nuclear weapon in the hands of a government that would be using that nuclear weapon to blackmail to achieve political objectives, historians will look back and say, how come Bush and Blair couldn't see the threat? That's what they'll be asking. And I want to tell you, I see the threat. And I believe it is up to our governments to help lead the forces of moderation to prevail. It's in our interests. And one of the things that has changed for American foreign policy is a threat overseas can now come home to hurt us. And September the 11th should be a wake-up call for the American people to understand what happens if there is violence and safe havens in a part of the world. And what happens is people can die here at home. And so, I appreciate your question. As you can tell, I feel strongly about making sure you understand, that I understand it's tough. But I want you to know, sir, that I believe we'll prevail. I know we have to adjust to prevail, but I wouldn't have our troops in harm's way if I didn't believe. One, it was important, and two, we'll succeed. Thank you.
Prime Minister, if I may.
You are watching a live news conference featuring President Bush and Prime Minister Tony Blair, the two men in lockstep, as they have been since the beginning of this war, continuing to passionately defend their goals in Iraq, identifying repeatedly outside extremists and radical forces as the instigators of sectarian violence that has created, according to the Bush-Hamilton report, a grave and deteriorating situation. There will be much more about Iraq on your local news on this CBS station, as well as on our website at cbsnews.com. Then, on tonight's CBS Evening News, I will have an exclusive interview with Prime Minister Tony Blair. I'm Katie Couric in Washington. I'll see you later on the CBS Evening News.
For news 24 hours a day, log on to cbsnews.com.
And it was the theme of the show was the brotherhood of man, and it was what you can give to the world. And fans have let us into their homes for 70 years. It's cold out here. For 70 years, and this is our way of giving back.
Yeah, how can fans get involved, and how will they know where you are? Can they go to a website or something?
Yes, it's findyourlight.net. They can actually upload things at finding their own light, and they can share that with everybody in the world. But they can find out more about it on that website.
Yeah, and then they can actually be out there and helping you build and rebuild the Gulf Coast area?
Yes, well, we're going to start in the Gulf Coast, and we're going to go all across America. And we're going to do it all year. It's a year-long celebration.
Very good. Thank you so much. And we should say that Guiding Light is on weekdays here on CBS, right?
Every single weekday.
Every single
Check
weekday.
Your local list.
Ricky Paul Golden, thank you so much.
It's a
hey,
pleasure.
Good luck.
Pleasure.
All right. And now here's Hannah with our 5-minute cooking school.
Myself included, would only look for pot pies in the freezer section of the grocery store. But it's actually not all that hard to make a fresh version that's so much better and better for you than frozen. I stopped by the Williams-Sonoma flagship store here in New York to get some ideas. For a nice, hearty, one-dish meal that would be great this time of year, our buddy Tori Ritchie says, why not try pot pie? Good morning, Tori.
Hi, Hannah.
I love pot pie, but I got to confess, I've never tried to make one. I always buy it at the store.
Well, a lot of people do, but they're actually pretty easy to make. And not only are they great, you know, for a winter Sunday supper, I'm going to show you 3 different ones, and I'm going to show you that you can make them pretty enough for guests, too.
Oh, really?
Yes,
okay, and we're going to start with the classic chicken pot pie, which doesn't seem like it would be easy to make, Tori, but you're going to show us some shortcuts?
I am. 2 shortcuts. First of all, buy your chicken or use leftover chicken so it's already cooked. All right, then, very easy to make the base. You melt butter in a pot and you add flour, and you know what that makes, right, Hannah?
A roux. That's like how we start gravy.
Right, that's
or
right.
Like that.
Exactly, because what it's going to do is thicken that stock that you're going to hand me now.
Well, this is chicken stock?
It's chicken stock, and you can buy it in a can. That's absolutely fine. Use low sodium.
Should I pour all of this in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Seems
Pour
like
all
a
of it
lot.
in.
Okay.
Well, no, but you know what? There's a fair amount of filling. We've got enough here to serve 6 people.
Okay.
So that's going to need to cook for about 5 minutes with these ingredients. We have onions, we have celery, we have carrots.
Chopped pretty fine, by the way. They're little tiny pieces.
Good point,
right?
Hannah. That's right. Because you want this to cook quickly. That's another way to shorten it. Those don't go in yet.
Oh.
Those are the potatoes. So this cooks for about 5 minutes. Then you add potatoes, peas, chicken.
Why do you wait?
Because these take a little bit longer to cook. Those celery and onion take a little bit longer to cook. Actually, the potatoes are cut up small. They cook pretty fast.
All right.
And I put some thyme and bay leaf in to season it. And then we're going to add those ingredients. And here's what we get at the end.
Always red potatoes, by the way, or does it matter?
You can use any potatoes. Just cut them up small.
And at the end?
Yes. So what you have here is a nice thickened base. That's that velouté sauce, that roux plus stock. All of the ingredients are there. We put it in a heat-proof bowl because we're going to bake it in the oven. The other shortcut is puff pastry from the frozen section.
Love that.
Okay, so we've cut it into squares. We're going to brush it with an egg wash just because that makes it look all glossy and beautiful.
Now, a lot of times when you buy this pastry, it has those little, what are those little marks through it? You know,
it has little creases in it.
Right,
And if
little
it does,
creases.
what you want to do is just roll your rolling pin over it and smooth those out. Okay, so I'm making a little X so that you have a little seam hole for it to escape.
Okay.
Here's how you put it on. Just take a little water on your finger.
Okay.
Moisten the rim of your heat-proof bowl, your oven-proof bowl.
Why do you do that?
So that the pastry will stick to it. Otherwise, it could pop off in the oven.
Okay.
Then you just lay it on top. You don't have to get fancy. Just press it down a little bit. Bake it in a hot oven, a 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes or so till it's beautiful and crispy. Take a look at that.
You
Hannah.
served it with wine? That's
Well,
so
I did.
fun.
I'm trying to make it seem like, you know, you can serve it to guests because I do. This is I love serving things like this to guests.
They must love, I mean, who goes over to someone's house and has pot pie? It's a great idea.
Well, it's
I
fun,
love
and
it.
Everybody loves it. And
so homey.
Yeah, and everyone's surprised by the homemade quality of it. Okay.
Fabulous.
Here's another easy one. This is shepherd's pie. I've made a lamb stew here, Hannah. Ooh, look at it. It's all bubbling there. Isn't it beautiful? I'm going to take out my bay leaf. This is lamb shoulder, some stock, some onions, some tomato paste. I'm putting it in a nice pie plate. I've also made mashed potatoes, okay? You can buy them. You can cheat that way. Absolutely.
It's a great thing to do with leftover mashed potatoes.
It's a great thing to do with leftover stew and leftover mashed potatoes. Let's mix a little chives to give our mashed potatoes not only a little ping of flavor, but also makes them look a little prettier. And then all you do, you want to be sure and use hot mashed potatoes, Hannah, because the stew is hot. You're going to put it in an oven for just about 35 minutes, but if the potatoes were cold, it just wouldn't cook quick enough. Now notice how I'm just putting it on here without spreading it to the edges.
Right.
Don't worry about being perfect in your detail. Serve that with a little red wine.
Delicious. Any kind of stew can go on the bottom of that too, which is great.
And a vegetarian stew too.
Yeah, which I've made before. This looks like chili.
It is chili, honey.
What are you going to do with it?
Well, it's been cooked in a slow cooker, but you could do it in the oven. It just takes about an hour and a half in the oven. It is a nice beanless chili, and it's very, see how it's very thick?
Right.
It's been thickened with a little bit of cornmeal. I'm going to fill up, again, my heat-proof bowl. I'm going to put a little bit of purchased cornbread mix.
You're all about the shortcuts.
Oh,
I love that. That's
and then
great.
don't spread it too far, because if you keep trying to make it beautiful and spread it to the edges, you'll sink it. And then this bakes in the oven for about 30 minutes. Serve it with a beer. Your guests are going to love you, Hannah.
I love it. Pot pie 3 ways. Great. That's Tori Ritchie. Thanks.
Thanks, Hannah.
And you can find these recipes and more on the Early Show website at cbsnews.com. Now let's go back outside where Audrey Puente has our final check of the weather. Hello again, Audrey.
Hi, Hannah. We got a good crowd out here. We have folks from all over the U.S. Let's start all the way over here. Let's start with Phoenix, Arizona. All the girls here from Centennial High School. Hey, here's someone who gets straight A's in our class. Who do you want to say hi to?
I want to say hi to my mom, my stepdad Mark, my sister Natalia, and Katerina, and my boyfriend Terry.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And we want to say a big hello to all our friends from North Carolina. They run all the way down. Hello. Let's say good morning to our friends from Delaware. And we don't want to leave out the tri-state area, of course. We have to say hello to our friends from Clifton, New Jersey. Hi, good morning. What's your name? Heaven. Heaven, that's a beautiful name, Heaven. Now, how old are you? 6. Can I thank you for coming out here? Thank you so much for coming out and joining us here this morning, okay? We're going to do a little weather. Is that okay with you? All right. All right, a little cool out here for everyone, but still very nice and mild here in the Northeast. Tomorrow, though, different story. Bitterly cold across the East Coast. Heavy snow squalls in the Great Lakes. Tons of sunshine in the middle part of the nation. And it will be milder in the Pacific Northwest. Now, here's an early look at what's going on in your area.
Thanks, Audrey. We are wild about mild here. We've got gorgeous sun, watch out, breezy conditions, and still dry. So we have a red flag fire warning through 6 p.m. this afternoon. Increasing clouds Friday into Saturday. Much cooler temperatures and a chance of rain this weekend as well.
Thanks, John Elliott. I'm Kent Shocknick. Tomorrow morning, starting at 5 a.m., your morning cup of coffee may have hidden calories. We'll show you what to avoid tomorrow on CBS 2 News between 5 and 7 a.m. Now back to Audrey on the Plaza in New York.
That's your latest weather. Now here's Julie with our Young at Heart.
Baby boomers are getting older. 330 of them turn 60 every hour. But this is no time to worry. It's time to plan the next stage of your life. Sally Foley, columnist for AARP, the magazine, is here to help with her book, Modern Love, a no-nonsense guide to a life of passion. Sally, good morning.
Good morning.
I'll bet you most boomers, when they turn 60, they say to themselves, how did I get here?
Right. All of a sudden you realize it hasn't been years since you've been carded. It's been decades.
Oh my gosh. So it is shocking. But you have some great guidelines on making, shall we say, 60 the new 40 or planning that next stage of our life, because it really is, you know, another chapter. The first thing you say people should do is accept who they are.
Absolutely. I think that probably begins with looking at the amount of baggage or clutter that you've managed to accumulate by the time you get to be 60 in terms of old ways of thinking about things, how much stuff you have in your basement or how much stuff you're carrying around inside your head. Taking a real look at who are you and accepting that person and letting go of the stuff that you just don't want to do anymore.
Good advice. And realize that nobody's perfect, right?
Absolutely. That's one of the really nice things, actually, about being a boomer and heading towards 60, is you realize no one is perfect and you're not trying to compete to be so anymore.
And is it counterproductive to try and deny your age and you know, act younger than you are, or?
I think it's a fruitless activity to try to be 35 again. But if people stay very focused on who they are right now, then instead of trying to act too young or younger than you are, you get to act vitally and vibrantly who you are in the moment. And I think that counts.
You also say your next guideline is develop new interests. Why is this so important?
Well, there's a lot of interesting brain research that shows that anytime you drive up dopamine, anytime you start something new, that you actually have more liveliness, and it contributes to your health, it contributes to relationships going better, and you feel better about yourself.
How does it make a relationship, if you're in one, even better? Do you have to both develop this new interest together?
Well, it's a great question. I think a little bit actually of doing things on your own and also having things you share. People love routines, but routines can become ruts. And I think you have to watch out to dig out of those ruts and start a few new things. I think it's why people take up things like dancing or new languages.
I like that. You say have a good friend network. What is that all about? Like develop new friends or get back in touch with old friends?
I like the idea of doing both. It actually turns out that gossip is good for you, that anything that makes you connect or relate to other people is, again, a really good sign of health, and people live longer who are connected to each other.
The gossip magazines are so happy you just said that right now. The next one is keep moving. Does that mean exercise?
Yeah. It turns out, though, that it's not just the fountain of youth, it's actually the elixir of love. People who exercise regularly feel better about themselves, they have a better sense of mood and well-being, they live longer, and they actually have a little bit more interest in sex.
Which leads us to our final guideline. You say sexual health is part of general health.
Right. It turns out that sex is a part of your quality of your life, and that people are sexual beings from the time they're born well into their 90s, until they die, essentially. And that if things aren't going well for you sexually, it may actually be an indicator of poor health in some other area. So watching out for your sexual health.
The book is called Modern Love, A No-Nonsense Guide to a Life of Passion. Sally Foley, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now here's Hannah.
Thanks, Julie. For many years, Dr. Maya Angelou's voice and poetry have enriched our minds and our souls. As in 1993, when she read On the Pulse of Morning at President Clinton's first inauguration.
Here, on the pulse of this new day, you may have the grace to look up and out and into your sister's eyes and into your brother's face, your country, and say simply, very simply, with hope, good morning.
On the Pulse of Morning is included in her latest collection of poetry, Celebrations, Rituals of Peace and Prayer. Maya Angelou, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, it's such an honor to have you with us this morning. Thank you for being here.
I'm delighted to be here.
The book is absolutely beautiful, and included is that poem that we just heard.
Yeah.
What inspired that poem?
I see how often we look at each other's foreheads and ears and hairdo and sometimes shoulders, but so rarely into each other's eyes, as if one is afraid. And I wonder, afraid of what? Of losing yourself in your brother's eyes? Or letting her lose herself, your sister, in your eyes? What is that? And I thought, suppose we could really look at each other and accept the truth, which is that human beings are more alike than we are unalike. Accept that. Everybody who wants to work wants a good job, wants to be paid a little more than he's worth, not enough to be embarrassed. Everybody in the world, from Birmingham, Alabama, to Birmingham, England, wants to love somebody, to have the unmitigated gall to accept love in return. Everybody wants safe streets in Paris, France, or Paris, Texas. So, I mean, if you want children, you want healthy children. Everybody. So then where we differ, maybe we have to look through complexion and see community. Maybe we have to look through the way the eyes go, or the language, and see ourselves. So I thought if I could try to write that, that would be, that might be close to what Mr. Clinton was bringing into our lives. And I hope so.
It's absolutely beautiful, as is everything, and this book is indescribably beautiful. And you write a lot about peace.
Yes.
That's a theme that resonates through so many of these poems. Why?
Well, by peace, I don't mean just the absence of war, but I mean that condition in the human spirit which allows us to look at each other. I don't mean to just be a peacemaker. I mean to be a peace bringer. Bring it with you, so you don't have to wait to get there to make it, you see? So if we can bring peace and an idea that we're going to find it or make it, if we can do that, Hannah, it means that you might find the time with me to tell me that you need me.
We do need you, and we would love to hear you read from Amazing Peace.
Oh,
We've been
thank
waiting for you to read this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We, Baptist and Buddhist, Methodist and Muslim, say, come, come peace, fill us and our world with your majesty. We, the Jew and the Jainist, the Catholic and the Confucian, implore you, stay a while with us, so that we may learn by your shimmering light how to look beyond complexion and see community. We look at our world and say aloud, we say without shyness or apology or hesitation, peace, my brother, peace, my sister, peace, my soul.
So powerful and inspirational. We not only have your wonderful book, we understand that you're on the radio now,
yes.
on Oprah's XM show,
Yes.
right? Oprah
Yes.
and Friends. So
I would be on anything with her. she's like a daughter to me.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got a massive, huge heart and a huge brain.
As do you. Thank you so much for being with us, Maya
Thank you very much,
Angelou.
Hannah.
What a blessing to have you here.
Thank you.
And you'll find an excerpt from Celebrations, Rituals of Peace and Prayer on our website at cbsnews.com. We'll be right back. You're watching The Early Show on CBS.
Shoe Pavilion wishes you a warm and fuzzy holiday with great gifts from $9.99 to $29.99. Genuine shearling slippers for women, luxury slippers for men, and favorite characters for kids. Great gifts for the whole family from $9.99 at Shoe Pavilion.
3 incomplete homework assignments. 5 movie trailers stopped midstream. 13 important phone calls missed.
When you've got dial-up, you can miss out on so much. Now, you don't have to anymore. Not when you can get high-speed Verizon Online DSL for just $21.99 a month. And you can do so much more, like click and connect to the net in an instant. Talk on the phone and surf the web at the same time on the same line. Download photos faster than ever before. Just call 1-866-684-2723. That's 1-866-684-2723 to get Verizon Online DSL for about what you've been paying for dial-up and see what you've been missing.
32 photos of grandson opened. 347 favorite disco tunes downloaded.
Phone, broadband, TV, Verizon.
This is the best time of the year, and it's only at your Toyota dealer. It's Toyotathon, the perfect time to save on many of the Toyotas you've been wishing for. Now get $500 factory cash back on a new fun-to-drive 07 Corolla. There are even great deals and low leases on the incredible new 07 Camry, just named Motor Trend's 2007 Car of the Year. See your Toyota dealer today. The Toyotathon year-end sales event. Hurry, time is running out.
Shoe Pavilion has genuine shearling boots for men, women, and kids. Boots like these sell elsewhere for up to $145. But at Shoe Pavilion, they're just $29.99 and $39.99. Shoe Pavilion. Why pay more?
Beautiful picture of the Capitol. And before we go, let's head back to Washington one more time and check in with Harry. Hi, Harry.
Hannah, what a beautiful interview with Maya Angelou. I remember being out here on Pennsylvania Avenue in 1992 for the Clinton inauguration, and when she recited her poem, tens of thousands of people from all across America just fell silent, and they hung on every single word. It was one of the most amazing things I ever experienced. It was just stunning. So great to have her in the studio with you today.
And she was actually asking for you, Harry, believe it or not. So she remembers you well, but her writing is indescribably beautiful and powerful, and what a wonderful message of peace, and very timely, isn't it?
No question. And as she was reading that excerpt, I have to tell you, I had goosebumps on my goosebumps to bring all these people of the world together, be able to think of that one thing. That's really quite a message.
Hearing her speak, you just want to go out there and be a better person. You know? It's not just her words, but the way she delivers it.
We're all a little teary-eyed here in the studio. We feel so blessed to have had a chance to spend some time with her this morning. Harry, thanks a lot. Have a great day, everybody. Your local news coming up next.
See it now, anytime, anywhere. CBS wireless video and picture alerts. Text the word news to 99888.
It's the holiday sale at Sammy's Camera with no sales tax and huge savings throughout the store. Like this Canon Power Shot for just $399.95. Plus get a free tripod, free memory card, free instructional class, and other free items. Call 1-888-SAMMY'S Camera for the nearest Sammy's.
Whether it's game day, or you're having a cocktail party, or it's a special celebration. A quick trip to Smart & Final, and you'll find everything you need to throw a great holiday party, all at low warehouse prices.
Turning Leaf wine, just $4.99. Crystal Geyser water, 12 1-liter bottles. Buy one case, get one free.
So, whether it's a tailgate party, or a baby shower, or...
Get smart. Smart & Final, the smaller, faster warehouse store.
14-hour sale starts at 8, ends at 10. You can spend a little and get a lot. You're going to find the regular price, then you're going to find the Steinmart price, and on top of that, you're going to find discounts.
You get 30 to 50% off. It's trendy, it's in season, and it's great value.
There's something for everyone. Your mom, your dad, your sister, your cousin, nephews and nieces. I buy everybody something at Steinmart.
If I buy a gift at Steinmart, I know they're going to love it.
Steinmart. Once you go, you get it.
14 hours from 8 to 10. Saturday.
Ooh, you get a lot of shopping done in that time.
This holiday season.
What's Christmas?
The day you'll be dinner. Meet a pig with a dream.
It isn't fair.
I'm all choked up. A spider with a plan.
I am going to save you. Everyone is saying it's some kind of miracle.
And a rat
I love it.
with an attitude.
He ain't breaking my back to try and save some pig. Bullseye.
The most beloved story of all comes to life. Charlotte's Web.
The rat is happy.
Rated G. December 15th.
It's the holiday sale at Sammy's Camera with no sales tax and huge savings throughout the store. Like this Canon Rebel XTI digital SLR for just $899.95. Plus get a free tripod, free memory card, free instructional class, and many other free items. Call 1-888-SAMMY'S Camera for the nearest Sammy's.
So pretty along the coast in this live picture from Malibu looking at the Pacific Ocean at 8:55 on a Thursday morning. Good morning. I'm Ken Shocknick. Here's what's happening. A Whittier teenager is recovering from a rude awakening when a pickup truck slams through her bedroom wall. Look at these pictures. This all happened about 3 this morning near Lannett and Oval in Whittier. The truck barely avoided the bed where the teenage girl was sleeping. She wasn't seriously hurt, but the truck did push the bed up against her door so her parents couldn't even get in to see if she was okay. Authorities took the driver into custody. Now, we just showed you the live view outside. What a pretty start to what is shaping up to be a nice day for a cup of coffee. And your weather as well. John Elliott, better here than Minneapolis if somebody's flying out, I suppose.
I didn't understand it either. Hey, by the way, right now it's 7 degrees in Minneapolis, and this afternoon it will be 17. So there you go. You bring on the coffee here, maybe some iced tea. We've got just delightful conditions for us. We can best that by 11 times. 77 there. Downtown LA. Red flag fire warning in effect through 6 p.m. Mountain and Valley locations in Southern California. Increasing clouds and cooler temperatures with a chance of rain Saturday and Sunday.
All right, John, thanks. Tomorrow morning on CBS 2 News starting at 5 a.m. Can you guess what we're going to be promoting? Do you really know what's in your morning cup of coffee? We're going to show you how you can avoid hidden calories and fat tomorrow on CBS 2 News between 5 and 7 a.m. When you head to your computer today, let's blog today. If you could only search for one thing, go to CBS2.com, scroll down to blogs, and click. Let's wrap up the morning rush hour. 4 different views right here. Sort of slow in a couple of spots. Vera has time saver traffic coming up.
If you're throwing a bash, go to Ross and save some cash.
At Ross, you'll save 30 to 60% off department store prices.
To pay more would be insane. Ross has everything you need to entertain.
Give your home the gift of new carpet this holiday season and save 50%. Call Empire today during our Home for the Holidays sale. We'll bring samples right to your home, where it's easy to match colors and styles to your decor. And we'll install your new carpet next day. You'll save 50% and make no payments until 2008. You'll even get a free turkey. So call Empire today. Give your home the gift of new carpet and save 50% now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
Homeowners need money. Want to get it without all that paperwork? Greenlight Financial Services is making it easy to get the money you need. Get a home equity loan of up to $250,000 at 6.49% fixed for 30 years with almost no paperwork. That means no income verification, no appraisal, no tax return, and no bank statements. This no documentation offer is only guaranteed till Sunday. Call 866-66-FASTER. 866-66-FASTER.
It's a holiday wonderland at your favorite department store. But the most wonderful part is, everything you see here is also available at Ross for 40 to 60% less. Ross, there's no comparison.
And to wrap things up, traffic-wise, for this go-around, let's check time-saver traffic with Vera heading into downtown.
Heading into downtown LA, should you take the 101 or the 5 this morning? I would say definitely take the 5. It's going to be heavier on the southbound side of the 101 as you make your way out of the San Fernando Valley. Average speeds only topping about 15 miles per hour. In the meantime, the 5 is running much smoother, at least 25, 30 miles per hour there most of the way until you get south of the 110, Kent, and then, well, it's down to 15, and that's time saver traffic. Have a good one.
Love it when you give us these choices, Vera. Thanks. Today on CBS 2 News at 11 a.m., this is the day music lovers have been waiting for. Grammy nominations just out. We'll have the hits and misses today at 11 a.m. Rachel Ray, weekdays at 9, is next.
I was in a crossroad. It was like, okay, you're getting ready to turn this wonderful age. Where are you going?
There's open enrollment, and then there's switching dates.
It should be there in big headlines.
On November 15th, you can sign up for the year of 2007.
After March 31st, you are locked in.
It's a little confusing.
I just signed up for SCAN in January, and they said, don't worry.
But you see what I liked about SCAN, most of all?
It's the benefits.
No plan premium, no deductibles, and low co-payments.
SCAN covers, and these are amazing things.
Transportation to doctor's appointments.
Worldwide emergency coverage.
Generous prescription coverage.
Well, I think it's a very good time to tell